You recently dropped an Ode to Reasonable Doubt. Can you discuss a little bit on why you chose that particular Jay-Z album?
Well, the way the project came about, I got the idea from the fans asking me to do it, honestly. You know, it started out on Twitter. Back in 2011, a random fan tweeted me asking, you know, Elzhi just dropped his rendition of Illmatic. Have you ever thought of doing Reasonable Doubt? He said, you know, you're the only rapper who could pull that off. Have you ever thought about doing it? I kind of retweeted it and was like, you know, that'd be funny, LOL, or something. That'd be crazy, LOL, something like that. And I mean, 100, 200 retweets. Yo, is this for real? Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? I was like, whoa, like, it was a little overwhelming. I was like, Dad, you know, I was just saying, like, somebody asked me, and I was like, maybe, who knows? And I never thought of it, but whatever. And I left it alone. I really had no intentions of doing it. But literally for the past 2 years, every year I've received tweets, every single day. You know, for the past 2 years, every day I've been getting tweets. Yo, you doing it, right? You still doing it? Yo, you doing it? I got the new joint. It's crazy, but I know you're doing the Reasonable Doubt, right? It was like I couldn't get away from it, so I was like, you know what? Let me just give the people what they want. So it literally 100% was for the people. If I never got that tweet, I would have never done it.
Just how do you feel social media has come into play as far as music and hip-hop nowadays?
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. It runs it, especially if you're an indie, like you said. I mean, it runs it. You know, and now you're seeing with the majors, it's running that too. I mean, you look at Beyonce, she just dropped the album. She let people know on Instagram. You know, the promo was social media. She put up a picture of the cover and wrote surprise. I just took what Ant-Man did as far as the beats and how he flipped them with the orchestra and the horns and the string sections and all that. And if you take a record like, you know, for instance, we redid Coming of Age, and you know, with the original, it's Jay and Bleak, and Jay is trying to bring Bleak into the drug game and all that. But with me, I got an artist that I'm working with, a kid named Disco, who's on my FGR imprint. So I brought him on it, you know, the way Jay brought Bleak on it. But my approach was, it wasn't the drug game, it was the rap game. You know, my approach was, it's three tiers to it, to my verse on the record. It's me being the kid looking up to Jay. You know, I started off saying I was the shorty on the block that was watching the rock. You know what I mean? So, you know, it was me looking up to Jay and the whole Rockefeller movement. And in turn, I wound up becoming my own man. I wound up becoming my own artist and building my own legacy and building my own thing, you know, off of just being a fan of them. I built my own thing and became my own man before I even realized it. And in doing that, I inspired somebody else. So it starts with me looking at Jay, and then it goes into me becoming my own man, and then somebody else looking up to me the way I looked up to Jay. So that's what I mean as far as I put myself in it. I wasn't going to sit here and pretend to be something that I'm not or pretend to do something that I didn't. You know, it was me being me.
The first feeling you had when you actually listened to Reasonable Doubt for the first time?
Yeah, high school, you know, giving away my age, but high school, yeah, I was in 9th grade. I was in 9th grade when Reasonable Doubt came out. Well, it came out at the end of 8th grade, early 9th. I think school was over, so I really was digging into it at the beginning of 9th grade at 14 or whatever. But yeah, just it was like nothing else that was going on. It was similar enough to what was going on, but it was different because of the approach he took with telling the story. You know, with so many records that we was living with at the time. I think a week later, Nas came out with It Was Written, which took over the summer because he was on a major and Jay was on an indie, and we already knew Nas and Jay was the new guy. You know what I mean? You know, Nas was already out, so you know, It Was Written was out, and you know, we was listening to Cuban Links for a year, you know, and all those things was out and a part of our lives. And then the approach that Jay took with the story of the hustle was coming from a place of regret, a place of doubt, a place of angst and wishing he wasn't a part of it, you know what I mean? And no one had ever done that on the record before. You know, you had guys talk about the street life, you had guys talk about loving it, you had guys bragging about it, or you had guys just talking about it. But no one ever expressed it in the sense of, I wish I wasn't doing this. This is the bad side of this. But I live with it because I'm so in love with the good side. No one ever did that before. And as a kid, I was 14, but I got it. You know, and obviously over years I understood it even more. You know, there were things that went over my head, whereas I grew up, I was like, oh, that's what he meant about that. Because now I'm experiencing that. Now I'm living that. Now I'm a part of that. Now those are emotions that run through me as an adult. But I got it as a kid for the most part. So
my thing is comparing mainstream and indie. I feel like a lot more indie artists are capable of doing what you just said, rather than in the mainstream where they have to adhere to the industry heads and what's popular.
Absolutely.
I just wanted your opinion on mainstream, indie, and like the path that you chose.
Well, there's pros and cons with both, just like anything. Like there's cons with the major world, but please believe there's pros with it. You know what I mean? The budgets seem endless. You know, things happen in a phone call. Oh, you need to get on Fallon, you need to get on Hot, you need to get on this. Phone call, email. You know what I mean? Those things happen. Like, major life is real. Major label life is real. But at the same time, it's like you said, it's give and take, because you give up a lot of the creative freedom. You give up what you know the people want to hear. But there's suits that are telling you, nah, the people don't want to hear that. People want this. But you know, because you were just a part of the people, if not still are the people, before you got signed. It's like if you're a fan today, you making music and grinding, and then you get signed tomorrow, you know what the kids on the blogs are looking for because you was a kid on the blog yesterday. So you know, yo, they want to hear this. And these suits are telling you, no, they don't, and we can't risk it because there's millions of dollars on the table, and we can't risk it. You take an artist, you take an indie artist, you know, use me as an example. You know, everything is on my own. You know, you look at indie artists, everything is on your own. So, say you come to a Skyzoo show, if I'm on tour or whatever it may be, you come to the merch table and buy stuff, I pay for that out of pocket. You know, if there's 100 t-shirts there for sale, I pay for that. Me and my peoples, me and my team, you know what I mean? Like, I pay for those, the t-shirts, FGR hats, you know, the hoodies, the CDs, that's all me, you know, whereas if you're on a major, you know, first of all, there's 5, 6 people working that merch table, all that stuff is paid for by the label, and yeah, you got to recoup later, but it's all set up in advance. It's not something you have to worry about, and they pushed you to the point where all that stuff is going to move anyway. You're going to make that back. It's all going to move, you know what I mean? Whereas as an indie artist, you know, it's you working that merch table, it's you banging out and getting busy, but the good side is you're interacting with the people, you know what I mean? I'm at that merch table chopping it up, showing love, taking flicks with people. People are crying, people are going crazy, calling their girl or calling their man and giving me the phone, and you know, that happens, you know. So it's pros and cons with both, but the flexibility and being able to do whatever you want musically definitely lies in the indie.
Going back to the album again, what is your favorite Reasonable Doubt track?
From the original?
Yeah, the original.
From the original would be Coming of Age and Regrets. Man, next year, a lot of stuff coming up. First off, collabo album with my man Torre, Bow Brothers. Totally different from an older Reasonable Doubt. Totally different from A Dream Deferred and all the other records I've done. This is just, let's just rap. This is just throw a beat on and da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Just start shooting. You know, this is that. This is just darts. Just boom, boom, boom. Just start firing away. You know, so that's coming out late winter. We're hoping for like a late March or something like that. Again, myself and my brother Torre, Bow Brothers, coming out. And then after that is my next solo album, Music for My Friends. And that's just my next straight up solo album. All original production, you know, no remixes or redoing or anything. It's just straight up, you know, straight up me. I'm sure there will be, but I haven't started it yet. So I got a couple beats, you know, I got a couple beats from people, but again, I don't write until I'm in the lab. So let's say I got 5 beats that I want to use for the album thus far. I haven't written one word to any beat. You know, then when it's time, then I'll go to the studio, throw the joint on, let it loop, let it play a little bit, pull out the phone and start writing.
What, on your next album, what kind of growth do you want it to represent from the Dream Deferred to up till now? What kind of growth do you want it to represent? Well,
it's always about, first off, the craft. You know, it's always about being nicer today than you are yesterday. You know what I mean? Nicer today than you were yesterday. I relate everything back to sports, specifically basketball, and I live by the theory of Ray Allen shooting 1,000 jumpers a day. Literally. You know what I mean? Like, the story goes, Ray Allen literally shoots 1,000 jumpers a day, and that's why he is who he is as far as being the best shooter ever. I live by that theory. You know, he shoot 1,000 jumpers a day, no matter what.
My favorite player, but he broke my heart when he left the Celtics.
He was smart when he went there. Nah,